Why reading is important. Mia often wondered why reading was so important. She saw people effortlessly conversing in English, a language that felt so distant. Her desire to speak fluently, especially in British English, grew with each passing day. She knew deep down that without understanding, true communication was impossible. This journey seemed daunting yet incredibly appealing for her future. She constantly thought about how to think and speak effectively, wishing for a magic formula. The way other people talked in English, with their nuanced expressions and quick wit, fascinated her. It seemed so natural for them, but for Mia, every word felt like a mountain to climb. Her initial attempts often left her feeling discouraged, almost defeated. Her instructor suggested a revolutionary way of learning English: immersive reading. Start with simple English story reading, he advised. Just 1 page per day. Mia was skeptical but decided to give it a try. She picked up a short children's book, feeling slightly foolish, yet committed to the daily ritual. This small step felt surprisingly significant. The first few pages were a struggle, words blurring into an incomprehensible mess. Mia would often reread sentences multiple times, consulting her dictionary religiously. She questioned her ability, asking herself, "Why do I always make mistakes?" The frustration was palpable, yet she remembered the advice. Persistence is key. Gradually something shifted. The stories, even the simple ones, began to paint pictures in her mind. She noticed her comprehension improving, albeit slowly. Reading became less of a chore and more of a discovery. She started anticipating plot twists, connecting ideas, and feeling the emotional arc of the characters within the narratives. This consistent practice of reading laid a crucial foundation. Her vocabulary expanded without conscious effort, and she started recognizing grammatical structures intuitively. The advice to just read 1 page per day proved incredibly powerful. It was a manageable goal that accumulated vast knowledge over weeks and months, surprising her. However, reading was only half the battle. Mia realized that understanding did not automatically translate into speaking. She could comprehend complex sentences but found herself tongue-tied when trying to form even simple phrases. The gap between passive knowledge and active usage felt like an enormous chasm. She started observing how other people talk in English, particularly focusing on their pronunciation and intonation. She spent hours listening to podcasts and watching British TV shows mimicking sounds. It felt strange at first, almost like acting, but she was determined to bridge the speaking gap she so keenly felt. The fear of making mistakes was a constant companion. Every time she considered speaking, a voice in her head whispered, "Why I always make mistakes?" This self-doubt was paralyzing, preventing her from taking the leap. She understood intellectually that mistakes were part of learning, but emotionally it was a huge hurdle. Her next breakthrough came from the simple instruction: start talking at home. It sounded so trivial, yet it was profound. Mia began narrating her daily activities to herself, describing objects, and even having imaginary conversations. There was no judgment, no pressure, just pure English talking practice. She started with simple phrases like, "I am making tea," or "The cat is sleeping." Slowly, she progressed to more complex sentences, describing her thoughts and feelings aloud. This internal monologue in English helped her structure sentences without the pressure of an audience, building a silent confidence within her. Sometimes she would record herself, cringe at the sound of her own voice, and then try again. She focused on the rhythm of British English, attempting to emulate the natural flow she heard. This self-correction became a vital part of her private English talking practice, refining her speech patterns significantly. The instructor also encouraged her to embrace the "let's talk in British English" mindset. He explained that focusing on one accent and its specific nuances would provide clarity and consistency. This helped Mia narrow her focus and immerse herself more deeply into the particularities of British pronunciation. One day during a coffee break, a colleague asked her a simple question in English. Mia felt a jolt of anxiety, but instead of retreating, she responded. Her words stumbled slightly, but they came out. The colleague understood, and for the first time Mia felt a flicker of real triumph. It was a small victory. This initial success spurred her on. She sought out more opportunities to speak, starting with simple interactions. Ordering coffee, asking for directions, complimenting someone. Each small conversation was a step forward, gradually eroding her fear of embarrassment and making mistakes in real time. She realized that "why I always make mistakes" was a destructive thought. Everyone makes mistakes, especially when learning a new skill. The crucial difference was how one reacted to them. Mia decided to view each error not as a failure, but as valuable feedback, a signpost for improvement. She started keeping a small notebook to jot down common errors she made. This systematic approach helped her identify patterns in her mistakes, allowing her to focus her practice on specific areas. It was a much more productive approach than simply dwelling on her shortcomings. One evening, Mia found herself engrossed in an English novel, far beyond her initial 1 page per day. The words flowed effortlessly, and she understood complex literary devices without conscious effort. This demonstrated the immense power of consistent English story reading. The stories weren't just about plot. They provided cultural context, idiomatic expressions, and natural dialogue. This deep immersion through reading helped her understand not just the language, but the mindset behind it, preparing her for more authentic conversations. She also started joining online discussion groups where people practiced English. Initially, she just listened, absorbing the nuances of how other people talk in English, especially those with native British accents. This passive observation was a crucial preparatory step. Slowly, she began contributing to the discussions, first with short, carefully constructed sentences, then with more spontaneous remarks. The online environment provided a safe space to experiment with her speaking skills, reducing the pressure of face-to-face interaction significantly. Mia realized that how to think and speak effectively was intricately linked to her internal language. By constantly practicing articulating her thoughts in English, even privately, she was training her brain to process information directly in the target language, bypassing translation. Her confidence grew exponentially. The initial fear of "why I always make mistakes" slowly faded, replaced by an eagerness to communicate. She discovered that most native speakers were incredibly patient and encouraging, appreciating her efforts to connect in their language. The daily habit of talk in English just 1 page per day evolved. It was no longer about a page, but about integrating English into every part of her day, even small moments. She'd describe her breakfast or narrate her commute internally in English. She noticed improvements in her listening comprehension too. The speed at which other people talk in English no longer overwhelmed her. She could follow conversations easily, picking up on jokes and subtle meanings she previously missed. The way of learning English she adopted, a combination of extensive reading, consistent home practice, and strategic observation, proved incredibly effective. It wasn't about quick fixes but sustained, deliberate effort every single day. Her British English pronunciation became noticeably clearer. She'd spent countless hours drilling specific sounds and intonations, trying to sound as natural as possible. "Let's talk in British English" became her personal mantra, guiding her practice. Mia even started dreaming in English, a clear sign of her deep immersion. This felt like a significant milestone, indicating that the language was truly becoming a part of her subconscious mind, not just a skill she consciously applied. She started mentoring a friend who was also struggling with English, sharing her journey, especially the initial difficulties and the persistent thought of "why I always make mistakes," helped her friend immensely and solidified Mia's own understanding. "Reading is important," she told her friend, emphasizing the foundation it built. "It's not just about words. It's about connecting with ideas and cultures through the written word, which prepares you for thinking in English." She encouraged her friend to start talking at home, explaining how invaluable private practice was for building initial confidence without judgment. "Just talk to yourself, describe everything," she advised. "It makes a huge difference." The concept of talk in English just 1 page per day evolved into speak English for 5 minutes a day. It wasn't about quantity but consistency, making it a sustainable habit rather than an overwhelming task for a beginner. Mia also stressed the importance of observing how other people talk in English, especially native speakers. She highlighted listening to different accents and intonations, emphasizing the value of mimicking natural speech patterns. "Don't be afraid to make mistakes," she reiterated, remembering her own struggles with "why I always make mistakes." Every error is a lesson, a stepping stone towards fluency, not a sign of failure. Embrace them actively. Her journey solidified her belief that learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. There are no shortcuts, only consistent effort and a willingness to step outside one's comfort zone, especially when starting to speak. She found joy in the nuances of British English, from its distinct vocabulary to its charming idioms. "Let's talk in British English" wasn't just a goal. It became an enjoyable exploration of a specific linguistic identity. Mia's newfound ability to articulate her thoughts directly in English transformed her professional life. She could participate in international meetings confidently, expressing complex ideas without hesitation or the need for translation. The discipline cultivated by just 1 page per day extended to other areas of her life. It taught her the power of small, consistent efforts accumulating into significant achievements over time, a powerful life lesson. She reflected on how learning English had changed her perspective. It wasn't merely about communication. It was about opening up new worlds, understanding different cultures, and connecting with people from diverse backgrounds. The initial fear of "why I always make mistakes" seemed so distant now. She understood that progress wasn't linear, but a series of ups and downs, each contributing to her overall growth and linguistic mastery. Her journey underscored that reading is important, not just for vocabulary, but for developing an intuitive feel for the language's rhythm and structure, which is vital for thinking effectively in English. She became an advocate for a holistic way of learning English, integrating passive intake like reading and active output like speaking from the very beginning, even if it's just speaking to oneself initially. Mia's story became an inspiration for others, demonstrating that fluency is achievable through dedication and the right approach. Her transformation from hesitant learner to confident speaker was truly remarkable for everyone around her. She loved recommending specific British English resources, from podcasts to classic literature, to anyone asking for advice. "Let's talk in British English is a wonderful journey," she'd say, sharing her enthusiasm. The ongoing English talking practice became a natural part of her daily routine. She no longer had to consciously remind herself. Speaking in English was as natural as breathing, a truly organic process. Even now she occasionally stumbled, but the thought of why I always make mistakes no longer paralyzed her. She'd simply correct herself or ask for clarification, demonstrating genuine confidence and humility. Mia often advised, "Before you speak, observe how other people talk in English. It's like studying a living textbook. Pay attention to their natural pauses, their expressions, and their vocal pitch." Her journey emphasized that the start talking at home phase is not to be underestimated. It builds muscle memory for your mouth and brain, preparing you for real-world conversations without immediate pressure. The power of English story reading transformed her understanding of narrative structures and character development, skills that even helped her in her professional writing, adding another unexpected benefit. Her passion for why reading is important remained unwavering. She understood it was the silent architect of her fluency, building the foundational knowledge that enabled her to then articulate her thoughts effectively. She recognized that how to think and speak effectively in a new language required a shift in mindset, moving beyond translation and directly engaging with concepts in English, a process fueled by consistent exposure. The way of learning English she adopted wasn't a rigid method but a flexible framework, adapting to her needs and progress, proving that personalizing the learning journey is often the most effective approach. English story reading continued to be a cherished pastime, providing not just language practice but also immense enjoyment and a deeper appreciation for various cultures and literary styles across the globe. The simple mantra of talk in English just one page per day had blossomed into fluid, confident communication, proving that small, consistent steps truly paved the way for monumental achievements in language acquisition. She often reflected on how other people talk in English, consciously refining her own accent and intonation to be more natural, especially aiming for that authentic British sound she admired so much. Her initial step to start talking at home proved to be the most critical in overcoming the fear of speaking, building a safe space for experimentation and self-correction before facing public conversations. English talking practice had become less about practice and more about actual living and communicating. It was a testament to how dedication can transform a difficult task into an effortless habit. Let's Talk in British English was no longer a dream but her reality. Mia had not just learned a language. She had found her voice, confidently navigating conversations and connecting with the world.